first thing we're going to do is use Aerosoft Fuel Planner, which I'll browse to. It's in my games folder, Steam apps, Common, FSX, the Aerosoft folder, and then it's in the fallback folder. So let's start it. We'll enter Innsbruck to Nice, and straight away we're given our block fuel, which is what we need. In previous versions of the Airbus, we needed our center of gravity, we needed a zero fuel weight, taxi weight, but our CDU in the A320 now calculates all of that from the block fuel and the distance. Here we are at gate 5 at Innsbruck, and the first thing I'm going to do is put us into cold and dark using the right MCDU. So let's go to the overhead and switch on both batteries and check that the voltage is fine. Then we'll turn on the ground power if it's available. It's traditional to put the nav logo lights on so that ground crew know that somebody's in the aircraft. Next, we'll rotate the brightness dimmer knobs for the PFD, the ND and the weather, and then we'll do the same for the ECAM screens. If it were a night flight, we could turn on the panel lights, but we don't need them because we're in the day. Then I'm going to the right MCDU and I'm going to load the passengers, fuel and cargo. So we're having 80 passengers today. Our cargo is 2,000 kilograms. That's 2.0 metric tons, and our fuel is 7.76. Okay, and we're going to board and add the fuel and make that instant. Let's go upstairs and do a white light panel scan. We start on the left at the front, work our way backwards, middle front, work our way backwards, and right, work our way back. So on the left side, we're going to turn on the ADERs, number 1, then number 2, then number 3. I'm going to do fire tests while I'm at the back there. Then I'm going to leave these fuel pumps for the first officer when he does his checklist, but I'm going to turn on the APU and I'm going to start the APU. The bleed we can put on a little bit later, and then I'm going to check the wipers, the engines, the ventilation. I'll do a light bulb test. I'll turn the no smoking signs on and the emergency onto auto. Let's check that the gear lever is down, and I'm going to go through the ECAM pages one by one just to make sure that all of them are working, particularly looking at recall and status, and they all seem to be in working order. Let's go down to the pedestal. The engine selectors are off and the switches in the normal position. The parking brake is off. The flaps and the speed brakes in the correct position, throttle to idle, and while we're down here, if we know our squawk code, let's put it in. Check data on the opening page, and then we'll go to the init page and we will enter our flight, which is from Lowy to LFMN, which is Nice. And we'll put that into the CDU. It offers us a company route. We're not going to take it. We're then going to enter the flight number, which is Lufthansa 319, and our cost index, which today is 30. and our cruise altitude, which is flight level 310. We then can align the IRS, go to flight plan. You see that our departure airport is there. We go to departures, we will select runway 8, which we've done, and we are going to use the RTT2J SID, standard instrument departure. Okay, we then go down to RTT, which is the end of the SID, click it, and we're going to put our next waypoint in, which is in. Put that in, select which one it actually is, click on in again, go to airways, and we will gradually enter every airway and every waypoint one by one. Let's speed up the video until we reach Bordy, which is our last waypoint before the star transition and ILS. Click the temporary flight plan and use the up arrow to go through our route, checking for discontinuities. And then when we insert it, you see it goes green and it's accepted by the CDU. Click the arrival airport, arrivals, and then we're going to select our ILS, which in our case is use the up arrow to find it, ILS04L, and we are going to use the board 6C star. Select that, and then we need a transition, and the transition according to our plan is nearest. Select that as well, and just insert it. Then use the up arrow and go through checking for discontinuities, which you can just clear using the clear button and insert, but we don't seem to have any discontinuities, so all is good. Next, click secondary flight plan, and we could put a flight plan in there to our alternate, but we're not going to do that today. We could enter frequencies for VORs, ILSs and NDBs, but we don't need that today. The Airbus knows all of that, and it's fly-by-wire, all automatic. Hit the init button and the right arrow to get onto init B page or second page. Enter the block fuel again, and it automatically gives us our center of gravity, zero fuel weight, takeoff weight, landing weight, and all that other information that you can see on the screen. Hit the performance button, and here we're going to enter our flaps and our THS, trimmable horizontal stabilizer, or stab trim in Boeing speak. We calculated ours to be flaps 2 down 0.1. We are going to leave our flex temp as is because we don't want to derate the takeoff, and we're going to enter our transition height. You can see we've got our V speeds displayed. Hit the phase button and check the climb, cruise and descent pages under performance. You can see that our flight level was incorrect here, and once that is all sorted, it is done. Back to the glare shield, and on the EFIS panel, check the QNH, check the flight director is on, go over to the FCU, speed and heading bold and dashed, and set the altitude at the first constraint, hit it, and it becomes bold and dashed as well. Set the ND to 10 nautical miles and in arc mode. Check the oxygen on the doors panel, 1400 psi, that's fine. So let's start our checklist. Go to the right MCDU
cockpit
and
preparation
click the
checklist.
cockpit preparation checklist.
Batteries,
Both on.
electrical power,
APU on.
navigation lights,
On.
engine master,
Both off.
engine mode selector,
Checked normal.
landing gear lever,
Checked.
parking brake,
Off.
flaps,
Checked position.
speed brake lever,
Checked retracted.
thrust levers,
Idle.
transponder mode,
Checked standby.
radio control panel,
Set on.
ECAM recall,
Checked.
anti-skid,
On.
Flight director.
On.
Emergency lights.
Checked and armed.
No smoking signs.
Set on.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Probe window heat.
Auto.
Air condition.
Checked.
Ventilation panel.
Is checked.
Electric panel.
Checked.
Fuel pumps.
Set on.
Hydraulics.
Is checked.
Acubrake pressure.
Set.
Ground proximity warning system.
On.
Electronic flight control system.
On.
Adheres.
Checked.
Emergency equipment.
Is checked.
Checklist complete.
Let's go back to the right MCDU and go to doors, and let's close all the doors. Make sure that they're all closed.
Before start checklist.
Windows and doors.
Closed and locked.
APU.
APU on.
APU bleed.
On.
External power.
Disconnected and off.
Cabin signs.
Set on.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
Set on.
Bearer reference.
Checked. 1013.
1013. Check. Beacon lights.
Set on.
Checklist complete.
Back to the right MCDU, and let's start the pushback. Let's choose how far back we want to go and whether we want to go right or left.
Flight deck to ground.
Go ahead, sir.
Ground, we have ATC clearance for push and start. Please confirm ground equipment and services are clear.
Roger. The ground equipment and stairs are clear, all doors are closed. Steering pin is in position and we're ready when you are, Captain.
Start pushback.
Roger, sir. Please release your parking brakes.
Parking brakes released.
Start and pushback. You can start both engines at your discretion, Captain.
OK.
Starting engine 2. Starting number 1.
Engine 2 is stabilized. Engine 1 is stabilized.
And pushback is complete, Captain. Please set your parking brakes.
Parking brakes are set.
Okay then, Captain. Tow bar disconnected. You know steering pin is removed. All clear. Signal on the right. Have a good run, sir.
After start checklist.
Engine mode selector.
Set.
APU bleed.
Set off.
APU master.
Set off.
Ground spoilers.
Set.
Rudder trim.
Checked 0.
Pitch trim.
Set.
Flight controls.
Full left. Full right. Neutral. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Check. Flaps.
Flaps 2.
Anti-ice.
Off.
ECAM status.
Checked.
ECAM door page.
Checked.
Hand signal.
Received.
Checklist complete.
Taxiing checklist.
No flight.
Set on.
Brake check.
Pedal pressed. Checked 0.
Check. Auto brakes.
Max.
Takeoff data.
Reviewed.
FCU.
Checked.
Flight instruments.
Checked.
Check. TO config.
Set.
Checklist complete.
As we taxi towards runway 8, we have done the before start, after start and taxiing checklist. And when we get to the runway, we will do the before takeoff checklist. This video has been from cold and dark to before takeoff. In the next video, I'll do the actual flight from Innsbruck to Nice. Taxi speed on the straight should be 20 knots or below, and when we get to turnings we should slow down to about 10 knots. This is a simple, easy taxi, but sometimes you will need the airport map to negotiate the different taxiways. Let's skip forward to the runway perimeter, where we will stop, get clearance, look left and right before proceeding onto the runway. Let's skip forward again until we're on the runway, where we will do the before takeoff checklist, and then I'm going to end the video at that point. In part 2 we will do the takeoff and the flight from Innsbruck to Nice. See you there, and bye.
Flight attendants, seats for takeoff. Before takeoff checklist.
Brake temperature.
Checked.
Brake fans.
Off.
Engine mode selector.
Checked normal.
TCAS.
TARA tilt above.
Exterior lights.
Set on.
Sliding tables.
Stowed.
Stowed. Checklist complete.